and today we're going to talk about the survey that we made to measure the student worker satisfaction on campus and off campus. We wanted to make this survey because we noticed that there's a significant amount of student workers that are not really satisfied with the work conditions here at DBU. With the results of this survey, we found out that only 16% of the students that we surveyed work on campus and make more than $8 an hour. In contrast, of all the students that work off campus, 31% of them make more than $10 an hour. 50% of the students we surveyed think they don't make enough money to cover all of their expenses. 66% of the students we surveyed have not received a raise since they were hired at the place that they're working at right now. And 78% of the students believe and agree that DBU should implement a performance-based raise system. Upon conducting the survey, we were able to find that 66% of the students we surveyed agree, and 27% of the students we surveyed somewhat agree that the wages they're receiving at their current jobs, either off campus or on campus, are fair in relation with the nature of their work and their responsibilities. We also were able to see the variation between students that work on campus and that work off campus and the amount of hours that they work. And these didn't seem to be correlated to the results that we got. 50% of the students we surveyed think that they make enough money to cover all of their expenses. This means also that 50% of the other 50% of the students we surveyed do not think so. We also found that almost 95% of the students we surveyed say that they would take on more responsibilities to increase their wages and their salary. 70% of the students we surveyed do not agree with the system DBU has for raises. They believe it's not clear and they can't really expect a raise. We know, and I believe most of the students in our group are student workers, and we know there are some raises, but it's not something that you can expect, or it's not something that is scheduled. So we believe in the group that scheduled raises or a different type of measurement should be applied so you can expect a raise and know when to expect it. It was also concluded that most students prefer to work off campus. We know most students end up choosing to work on campus due to several factors. These are some of them: commute time, flexible schedule, and vehicle accessibility. Although most students prefer to work off campus due to higher wages and better areas and job opportunities of growth as well. Most students end up choosing to work on campus due to these factors. Another question that we included in our survey was, independent of external factors, would you choose to work off campus? 10 students say yes, 5 said undecided, and 3 say no. We also found out that 66.7% of the students we surveyed have not gained a raise since they started working at where they're working at right now. We also found out that 94.4% of the students we surveyed would take on more responsibilities, as I said before, to increase their wages. And 77.8% of the students we surveyed think DBU should implement a performance-based raise system. So we came up with a couple of recommendations for DBU to increase the satisfaction of their student workers. The first one was to create a department that is in charge of keeping that satisfaction up, so that they can talk to student workers, see what their problems are, what could be fixed, and some other things like that. This is something that does not exist on campus. Um, we do have a department that helps us get jobs and help us prepare better, but we don't have a department that helps us once we get our jobs. Um, we just have to talk to our advisors or to the second solution that we came up with was to create a performance-based rate system. Um, this would encourage student workers to do a better job, to be more committed to their job, and not look for other jobs. Our third recommendation was for DBU to offer these opportunities for student workers to get more responsibility and also increase their wages. This is something that we know students want, and of the people that we surveyed, most of them said that they would take that opportunity. So I think it would be good for DBU to do this. Also, with the results of this survey, we know that students are content with their relationship with DBU and them working at DBU. We know also that they would prefer if they had the option to work off campus. So we know there's an opportunity there for DBU to increase the relationship, or to make it better, make the student workers more satisfied. So although the student workers are content, we know that could improve, that could get better.
Alright guys, so for this part of the survey report presentation, I'm just going to show you guys some visuals that I found online comparing the survey report information of Dallas Baptist University to other universities around the US. We're just going to compare them to public schools and private schools. So as you can see on this slide, we have Dallas Baptist University versus public universities. So on the right side, we have Dallas Baptist University's information based on the survey report that we took. And out of the 18 respondents, this is everyone who work on campus and what their wage consists of. So we have 66.7% who put NA, so their wage is not in this category, and we have 11.1% who said that they earn between $7.25 to $8 an hour. Then we have 16.7% who said that they earn between $8 and $10 an hour. And then the rest of the percentage either earn $10 or more an hour. And this is based just on their work on campus and their wage earnings. So on the left side, we have a chart of the average tuition and fees for a four-year university and U.S. public universities. And so if you look at the red right here, you can see from the year 1970 to the year 2010, students' tuition and fees have gone up over the next few years here. We started from below $1,000 of tuition, and now we're over $8,000. And this was just based on 2010, so right now it's a lot more higher than this. And then comparing it to the summer earnings of 12 weeks, at 40 hours a week, this is what students earn based on their wage during the summer. And so they are barely earning over $3,000 for their work in 2010. So if you think of this, you can think that this is just based on public universities. Comparing it to Dallas Baptist University, where we are a private university and our expenses are going to be a lot more than the public university that we have right here. So you can see how the number keeps going up on tuition, but our wage is not going up as much. So here we have the summer minimum wage. So this is just what students in other universities earn during the summer, comparing it to students at Dallas Baptist University. So we have the same chart right here, and you have to think that students in Dallas Baptist University who work in the summer are still going to earn the same amount of money that they earn during the year. Now, their expenses are going to stay the same or even go up during the summer. So you can see here on the left we have different universities and what they surveyed on their students. So we have the University of California, University of Virginia, and University of Michigan, all universities in the US, but they are public schools. So here you can see that the blue is from 1976 to 1977, and this was their minimum wage earnings as a percentage of tuition and mandatory fees. And then the red was from 2014 and 2015 at the universities. You can see how it drastically went down during the years of 2014 and 2015 compared to about 20 years ago. So this has been a huge problem that's been occurring in America, I believe. So in this slide right here, we can see the rise of tuition during the next few years in private institutions and public institutions. So for the average college tuition since 1980, you have private universities in the 1980s, it started at $10,000. Now the tuition has gone up for private universities up to close to $30,000. If you think of this, Dallas Baptist University right now, just for the full expense of how much our universities, it is close to $37,000. So you can see that even for private university, it's been going up. But for public universities, it's also been going up, but not as drastically as private universities in the US. So in the 80s, in the 1980s, we started just below maybe about $2,000, $3,000 of tuition. And now in 2014 and 2015, tuition in public universities has gone up almost to $10,000. So this was 5 years ago. So imagine now it must be closer to $15,000. And so right here on the right side, we have Dallas Baptist University, our results, and what students thought if their paycheck is sufficient for your expenses. So half of the students said that yes, and half of the students said no, that it is not sufficient for their expenses. But we got to consider that each student has a different story. So some students may not be living on campus. Some students may be relying on scholarships to help them with their payments. So this is why maybe their paychecks is sufficient for their expenses. Or some students may not be offered the same financial aid that other students are, so their paycheck is not sufficient for their expenses. So right here you can see the average student loan debt in the United States over the last few years. So you can see in the early 1990s, the average student loan debt started at about a little bit over $10,000, and it has been increasing greatly during the years. Now in 2017 and 2018, it has gone up to over $30,000. But even for the average parent loan debt, it's even greater than the student loan debt. This makes it harder for older people to go back to school whenever they want to pursue a career. This is why it's important for us to implement a greater wage system in order to help students out to have a problem like this decrease throughout the years. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Right here we have our sources of where we found all our information regarding the graphs and survey report. Alright, thank you guys.